So I'm gonna make a hot and then a cold dish using corn, okay? And it's almost the exact same ingredients. We're just gonna, do them up differently. So I'm gonna get the hot going first because I gotta throw it in the oven, and then I'll keep entertaining you guys while we make the cold one. Sound good? I was inspired to do a thing based on corn because, again, the first corn of the season has arrived, and then I thought, corn, mushrooms, and spinach. That is a great combination which you can use in many different ways. So that's what we're gonna work on. Corn, mushrooms, and spinach. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so what I did is I preheated my pan, threw in my onions, threw in the corn, okay? And now as you can see here, I got some nice browning in the pan going. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. All right, and now we're going to add some spinach to it. As we mentioned, we're doing this mushrooms, corn, and spinach. So my objective right now is to wilt the spinach, which will, by default, evaporate water out of it as well, which is what I'm looking for. All I'm trying to do in this sort of saute kind of thing is I just want to get rid of the water so that I can intensify my flavors here. That's all. Okay? I'll show you what I have here is I got my baking dish, and so what I did was I took a couple of portobello mushrooms, took the stems off, and I roasted them in the oven along with the corn. They were probably in there about the same time, right next to each other, 350, okay? So I took the stem off, and then I took a spoon and scooped out the gills, okay? So again, what I did was evaporated the water out of the mushrooms, okay? Just so that I can intensify the flavors, okay? And now we're gonna stuff the mushrooms here with our mix so that we'll have the corn, mushrooms, and spinach, okay? I'm gonna take some of the corn that I did. So I did 4 or 5 of these, I can't remember. So I pre-sliced some of them.
So that's roasted?
Roasted corn, correct. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add some soy milk to here.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna essentially make like a corn cream. Okay, and then maybe I'm gonna add a couple slivers of onion in there.
Is this in the book?
No, this is me just making the brain work. Okay, now I don't want a whole lot of soy milk. I just want enough so that this will blend into sort of a cream. And so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to stuff this guys here.
Could you use another kind of nut milk or any kind of milk?
You could, but I'm going to explain to you why the soy milk works best in this scenario. Okay. So I've got my mushroom here, which, they kind of look like a 3.5. Right? The idea now, however, is that we're going to.
Is that about a cup of liquid?
I didn't pay attention to how much. Probably.
It's like
That's
hollandaise.
what it looks like.
Yeah. I was gonna say, we got this sort of eggs Benedict kind of thing going on.
Yeah, sure.
Hollandaise.
How much is a serving when you're through? Is it 1 cap or 2?
I don't know. To me, that's 1 serving. For me,
Okay.
for lunchtime, for dinner, that might be 2. Okay. And I'm gonna throw in a couple of tomatoes, cut them in half, so that they look pretty. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. I'm taking 5 cherry tomatoes, halving them, and then just randomly throwing them in here. Okay. And all I'm trying to do is give this some color. I'm gonna take a little bit of this onion and I'm gonna do this sort of sprinkle over the top. You can certainly do some black pepper or some other, whatever. I'm using it because it's like right here. So there we go. All right. So that looks pretty, right? Looks like a 4. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in the oven. And what's gonna happen is I'm going to take advantage of the starch from the corn, blended it really nice and smooth-ish, and between the starch of the corn and the protein in the soy milk, we're gonna create this sort of souffle-ish topping. Okay, that's the idea. So we'll be right back. I'm gonna throw this in the oven. The gentleman's question was, why did I scrape out the gills? Okay, and it's very simple, so that I can make a deeper cavity within the mushroom. That's all. There's nothing wrong with the gills, but if I take them out, it creates a bigger pocket. So let's make some sushi, shall we?
Oh.
Take that off.
Can you move the onion?
Oh, sure.
Just so I can see. Thank you.
Move. Can you tell me if
Yeah, it's
am I
on
still
there,
on?
but everything looks good.
Yeah. Okay. So this is not how I would normally cut. The cutting board would be right here, but for show.
What is that?
This is the third portobello mushroom that I have.
Bruce.
All right.
Yeah.
Correct. And now,
Does the portobello have the gills removed too?
yeah, all 3 of them have the gills removed. Now the other thing about removing the gills from a portobello mushroom is that it lessens the darkness of them. The gills is where most of that deep brown, almost black color comes from.
But then you could use them for gravy or something?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's nothing wrong with the gills. They're flavorful, they're colorful. But again, they're sort of in the way if I'm trying to make a pocket, to stuff the mushrooms. And over here, as I put them down, it tends to darken the dish more than I want it to.
Is there anything you could do with the gills? Like if you have.
Yeah, you can make a broth out of them, which is where the gills went. It went into our broth container. Yes, I took this sort of triangle plate, put a couple slices on each. Okay, and what comes to mind when you see this? As is
Anchovies.
Oh, unagi.
bacon.
Yeah.
Unagi, I see unagi.
You said
I
anchovies.
said anchovies.
Okay, you guys are going way.
Well,
That's
wait,
not what I. But sure, if you sort of see that, perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly enough, thing about bacon and anchovies is the saltiness of it, right? So what I'm going to do here is I am going to cater to my taste buds as I put this dish together, and I will break it down ingredient by ingredient to you so you understand what the thought process is. Okay, I don't have any extra ingredients. It's essentially the same stuff that I just put in the oven. We're just doing them differently. Now, the catering of the taste buds works exactly the same in this dish as in the hot dish, but now I'm going to explain it to you here. Okay, but it works just like it over there. So the mushrooms here are providing a what's called an umami flavor. Okay, I like to refer to this as a earthy flavor. And now we're going to complement that flavor. So if I taste this, there's only so much of portobello mushroom that I'm going to pleasantly eat, because it's just going to be like umami, 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 and then the brain goes, okay, enough. Give me something else, or I'm done with this. Okay. All right. So now I have a bowl here of spinach, and this is a beautiful Bloomsdale spinach, which I brought in. Okay. So if I just put 2 leaves here, what happened? First thing that comes to mind. Don't overthink it.
More interesting.
You added
Because it's more interesting because
Color.
So color-wise, boom. Now we have a green added to the brown. Okay. Color-wise, but it's an improvement. Okay. What else comes to mind?
Texture.
a different texture, absolutely. So the portobello mushrooms, as they're cooked, they have this sort of a chewy texture, and the spinach has got this sort of leafy, crunchy kind of thing. Okay, all right. The spinach here, in this case, there are certain greens such as spinach, Swiss chard, kale, which provide more of a salty flavor. Okay, so we're gonna add salt to the umami. Okay, now we're also going to add some sugar, sweet here to the umami. And I'm gonna go ahead and,
That's the roasted one?
that is the roasted, yeah. I'll add some more just because it's here. So we have that. I'm going to add some of the tomatoes here, and I'm gonna go ahead and half them. And so by adding tomatoes, what do you think I'm adding here?
Sweet?
Color, yeah, I'm adding a different color.
Sweet?
Sweet and acid. Tomatoes are sort of this tart. It's a combination. It's not strictly acidic, and it's also not strictly sweet. So they have this sort of tartness of it. I'm also adding a specific type of texture. Can anybody guess what it is?
Liquid?
Juicy.
I call it bursty.
Bursty.
Bursty because you bite into it and you get this burst of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
liquid. The ingredients here now, this is taking some color-wise. It's taking a nice effect. Okay, you see a green, you see a red, you see a yellow, and it's like, okay, I like that. Okay, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and use this guy here. So I'm gonna take some of my onion. I'm gonna remove one of my blades here. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slice the rest of my onion here really nice and thin. There. So I'm gonna have these nice onion ribbons here going on, as you can see. All right. And now I'm going to add some definite sour to the mix. I have some red wine vinegar, organic red wine vinegar. So this is quote unquote the dressing for the salad. Okay.
Would balsamic be too sweet?
Balsamic would be too sweet. Yeah. And it would be dark. And I already got dark in here. And I already got sweet in here with the corn. Okay. So I prefer something that's gonna brighten everything up, with that sour tones.
And
Okay.
rice vinegar.
Rice vinegar would work too. This was just closer to me when I was prepping everything. And I happen to have some fennel right next to me as well, so actually, so I added here a white component here to the salad, and it's also got this sort of a string sort of points kind of a thing, so just make it interesting.
Oh God, it smells good.
I certainly could have taken some of the fennel, shaved it off. I should have done it and thrown it on the
Top of those.
on the other one. That would have been nice. Okay, so now I'm adding my onions here. The reason why I put them in there with the container, in the container with the vinegar, was so that I could pickle them really quick. Okay, so you see the color of the onion has sort of popped a little bit. It's got this sort of magenta kind of thing going on. Okay, so I mix this. And now that's sort of the idea. There's not much more to do here because I've got all sorts of colors going on here. Okay, I got umami, I got sweet, I got sour, I got salty.
Tart?
Tart is sort of sweet and sour, so we'll cover that. But you know, I got the green, yellow, red, magenta, dark brown. Okay, so lots of different colors going on, lots of different flavors. Okay. And now all there's left to do is.
Could you add some herbs like, cilantro?
I certainly could, yeah.
The fennel would probably be pretty strong.
Say again.
The fennel would probably be the strong herb here.
Once fennel hits a little bit of that acetones in there with the vinegar, it mellows down quite a bit. So, and now when you go to those $300 a plate kind of places, what they'll do is they'll grab tweezers, I kid you not, and they will individually place every single item
So it
with a
looks
tweezer.
uniform?
So it looks pretty. So we go from a 5 to a 10. The price of a 10 is that of a pair of tweezers touching
But the
every
taste of a 5. I mean, it's just the.
touching
the
every piece of
Yeah, like a fast
food.
food, where they use those sauces and make designs in there.
It looks amazing. Oh,
It really smells good. It does smell.
All right, so let me see. I don't think I want to mess with it too much more.
Looks really good.
Now the other thing is you're not seeing this because it's turned around. Chefs, we have this sort of we look at plates as a clock, okay? And we always want to look at a clock directly, okay? So this is my 12 o'clock. As I was putting this together, I knew that this was 12 o'clock, okay? And now if I turn this around for you, so if you see it now, you're looking at the back of it, okay? But if I turn it around, I purposely made the spinach leaves at the top to face that direction, okay? So chefs do this with every single plate, okay? 12 o'clock is always predetermined, okay? Now to this, again, we could add some herbs. My ideal item that I would put on here would be some chives, chopped up chives. Certainly a little tarragon would be great. Chives and tarragon go really well with corn, but you can certainly put other stuff in there. I am missing a crunchy, like true crunchy aspect to this. Not that it's missing, but if there is one thing that I don't have in here already is a true crunchy kind of a thing. I don't know exactly what that would be.
The corn's kind of crunchy.
It's more of a chewy kind of thing. Crunch, I mean like you
Like a
bite
nut?
down and
Like a nut?
like
Like a celery.
chips right on top.
Like the little strips?
I could see some toasted sunflower seeds or maybe some toasted pumpkin seeds.
Yeah.
Okay, and that would be that actual crunch. As somebody, goes, oh man, this looks nice and pretty, take a fork and you start chewing on that. The brain goes, umami, sweet, salty, no. Crunchy, no. Chewy, no. Bursty, no. It's, sort of very earthy again. Or no, it's kind of tart, And so what happens is your brain is registering all these things as you're chewing and the taste buds are sending the messages to your brain. Your brain is entertained because it's got all these different combinations going on. And it's not that umami, umami, umami. Okay, I'm done with it. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the other one.
How much
Okay.
time did that turn out?
I don't know. Did
That's 20
somebody
minutes, 15 minutes.
It was
How
about
long?
15 minutes.
15. Okay. I would have ideally. What happens is every oven. I don't care what kind of oven you have. Actually, there is one type of oven that doesn't suffer from this, but you need like $20,000 for it, maybe more. So every oven has hot spots. Okay, even convection ovens, which are supposed to circulate the heat, blah 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 blah. Our oven here in the kitchen is quote unquote convection, but I can tell you that every rack has a different hot spot. Okay, top rack has a hot spot on the back. The second rack, which is where this guy was, has a hot spot on the front. The third rack has a hot spot sort of on the sides, and then the bottom one, the hot spot's in the front. Okay? So ideally, what I would like is to put this back in the oven for another 5 minutes, but spin it around, because as you can see, the browning is on sort of this side where the hot spot is, and then the back of it is still not quite. Okay? So ideally I would have thrown it in there for another 5 minutes. Okay. But here we go. You know, I think the only difference was a little bit of vinegar here. And fennel, which certainly could have gone in here. Other than that,
That's amazing,
yeah. I mean, if we really want to sort of say, no,
That bowl,
It's
you
the
just
same
did a
thing.
salad also.
there you go.
yeah.
Put a little bit of that. Say we need a little bit of that pickled thing in there. There you go. See, same thing.
That looks good.
No soy, there's no soy milk in the
That's true.
Yeah.
other.
But I mean, it's not complicated. At least not for me. I always try to teach. People always asking me like, how much of that milk went in there, and how many cups of this? How many of that? Okay. You lose track of the important part is, which is, I'm thinking, you know, do I have enough colors in there? Do I have enough flavor profiles? And if that's both true, you know, and then I do my best to do different textures in there, I don't need to worry about, was it a half a cup, 3/4 of a cup? Okay.
So did you try this out before you did
In
it
here,
today?
only in my head.
Like on the way in this morning, or?
No, at 1 o'clock.
Okay. So you just decided.
I decided that I was gonna do corn because corn was here, and
Yeah.
then Stella's like, "Chef, what are you gonna do for your demo?" I was like, corn, first corn season." And then it took me like 5 minutes. What do I want to do? I was thinking of doing a buttered corn. Then I thought, well, I'd like to give the demonstration a twist. Then I said, okay. Corn, spinach, and mushrooms always go really good together. I'd like to do one hot, one cold. Boom, done.
So if it's not corn season anymore, could I do the same thing and roast frozen corn?
You can. It will not taste as good.
Because it's too soggy.
Yeah, frozen corn is always partially cooked. If I'm not mistaken, it is sort of boiled, sort of a flash boil out and then frozen. And what happens is you lose a lot of flavor to that water. Okay, and so frozen corn will never taste as intense, even if you roast it.